All right. We are back once again, Level Up Grappling Podcast, the officially number one grappling podcast worldwide. Thank you very much, listeners. So, Coach Brian here, straight out of PCI Jiu Jitsu, Mission Viejo, California, the kangaroo wrestler himself, Kangaroo Dundee, Adam Tibbetts in the house. And it is time for one of the greatest geniuses of the jiu-jitsu world. I should just say, I'm going to umbrella this as the grappling world because your stuff transcends jiu-jitsu, or what we call jiu-jitsu, as far as I'm concerned. Javier Vazquez is back, and we are going to talk about the new book release that is available for pre-order now. And I suggest you guys get it as quickly as possible because the first edition, the hardcover, there's only, if I have this correct, Javi, it's only 100, right?
Only 100.
There's only 100. I already ordered mine. I even upgraded to the signature one. But to me, that's not going to be good enough. So I'm driving over to the school because I want a personalized autograph. I don't want just a regular signature. So I already ordered mine, guys. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this book that is coming out that I know, and I'm going to tell you guys now, is going to change your grappling lives. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this book.
Well, this is a long time coming. I started writing this project, I guess you can say, in 2011. So I basically started downloading everything I knew, position by position, in an order, right? So everything was pretty organized. But there was just a lot. So those are the books that I have over there on my shelf. They're like printed in notebooks, but they're not like, I never really released them. I kind of use them as my own personal journals. So what those journals allowed me to do was to kind of zoom out and ask the question, like, how can we get better faster? Why is jujitsu taught the way it is? And why does it take so long to get good at it, right? And I think that what I came up with was the process itself of learning jujitsu was a bit flawed. Well, yeah, I guess you can say flawed. And the basic idea was, you learn a bunch of moves from a bunch of different places. Some of them work, some of them don't. Some of them work really well, most of them don't. And you're always seeking that new move that's gonna make you better, make you good from this position, get you to finish every single time. Something that's reliable. I think what most people are looking for is reliability and consistency. And because jujitsu is so complex, like there's all these positions, and it's like, so you start collecting a move from here and a move from here and a move from here. And after a while, you have this collection of moves, and then, some of them work better than others. And then it's up to the individual to kind of put them in some sort of an order, put together some sort of a complete game, figure out what works best for them, and yada yada yada. So then it puts a bunch of the onus on the individual. So what I realized in jujitsu is that certain positions, there's just certain ways that you can attack that work the best. I'm not saying that 100% of the time, but nothing's 100% of the time. But I'm happy with 80. I like 80. Do you like 80? I like 80.
I love
So
80.
80% of the time, the vast majority of the times, work, these particular moves or strategies work. As the years have gone on, I've collected and completed, and filled in all the gaps. And I ultimately, the initial writing of the books was, hey, let's get all of these ideas down on paper so we can figure out what we're going to do next. Then the next strategy was, film everything and then put everything online. Well, in the process, I started showing, what I was doing to people, respected people, good guys, guys that are high level guys. And, the vast majority of these really good guys, what they told me was, it's too much. It's too complicated, Hobby. It's too complicated. We know that you got to make it easier. You got to make it simpler. You got to make it simpler. So, so I wrote 2,500 pages. It was like 500,000 words. It was something ridiculous. So I kind of went through it and it allowed me to zoom out. I started going through all the table of contents. I go, okay, let's go position by position and figure out what works best. From side mount top, what works best? From side mount bottom, what works best? Now, let's put that aside. In my professional fighting, I was dealing with all sorts of styles: wrestler, boxers, kickboxers, jiu-jitsu guys, jiu-jitsu kickboxers, like all sorts of different kind of blends of styles. So I had to have a style that I can kind of go around their strengths and then put them in my realm where I'm strongest. If you're a jujitsu guys, I'll stand with you. If you're a wrestler, I can pull guard because my punch defense I felt was confident enough where I can pull guard and end up on top, right? Um, or make them tired. From side mount, I always like to staple people's arms because then they can't protect their face. You can elbow and punch them in the face. So I always like that, right? So, you go through all these positions and you kind of figure out your game. Well, once I retired and I wasn't fighting anymore, it kind of allowed me to analyze my own game and figure out, where was I lacking. So it gave me the time to really analyze. And some parts of my game I thought were really exceptional, and then there was other parts. It's like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing these things? For example, like guard bottom. Like, okay, guard bottom. Okay, when I'm fighting, I want to have a perfect guard that's a threatening guard that I can attack submissions and finish the fight. Okay, that was kind of the way I would think before. But what I started to realize is that as people get better and as I understand now that bypassing the legs is fairly easy. And if you understand how to control side mount top, there is no guard. You can't get me back to guard. It's very difficult. And if you can, I just repass again and then you're back in the side. So I'm like, well, whoa, the functionality of guard has slowly started to kind of dissipate. So I'm like, okay, well, how can we use the guard now? If I was advising myself now, what would I tell myself now? What I started to recognize is that the amount of pressure that we're able to put down is very fatiguing for people. So I started to realize that I didn't want to be underneath anybody. Even if I have great punch defense and good submissions and all that stuff, it takes a lot of energy just to make those things happen. So it wasn't economically a great place to be on the bottom. So then I started to understand or realize, like, okay, how am I going to use the guard? And I use guard as the example because all the other positions are pretty easy, pretty simple, I thought, to kind of break down and really figure out what works best. But guard is the most complex. There's the most amount of options from the top that you got to defend and the most amount of options from the bottom that you can utilize for attacks. But how? Why? So I started to think to myself, like, okay, how do I use guard? What is the best way to use guard? And what I started to realize was that rather than attacking submissions to finish, I can attack submissions to transition from bottom to top. So the submission threat is enough where if you don't respect it, I tap you. But the submission that I'm going after itself, the counter to the submission is to go have them roll from top to bottom. Well, I started to realize, like, wait a minute. If I can behave in a particular way where I can make you do what I want you to do, so you want to roll and I want you to roll, now we're both fighting towards the same thing. That is much more economical than forcing my way to do anything. So then I started asking myself, well, wait a minute. Well, what positions from guard bottom, what submissions from guard bottom make the guy go away? Because the way I was attacking before, guys would back out of my guard, but I couldn't transition from bottom to top. So my punch defense was good, so good where they didn't want to be in my guard. They just knew that they couldn't hit me and they wanted to get out. I call it repellent behavior, right? My behavior here is making you repel. It's kind of like making you go away from me. But how can I get them to roll? What can I do? What can I change in my own behavior that gets in the role? What people don't realize is my behavior affects your behavior. So I can control what you do based on what I do. So I started going, okay, well, what submissions make people roll? Guillotine. If I attack a guillotine, what's your counter? You roll. If I attack a reverse armbar, what's your counter? You roll. If I attack a kimura, what's your counter? You roll. How can I go from bottom to drag? I can drag you. I go from bottom to top of the drag. So I started to look at the guard as, wait a minute, let's look at it from a place of behavior rather than a place of submission.
Mhm.
So my behavior makes you want to change your behavior. So what I started to recognize is that there's in this game, every position can be broken down in that kind of fashion. How can I behave from within a position that falls in line with the bigger picture? So if I want to take your back, hypothetical, which is my strategy, I'm always trying to get to chest to back, my chest on your back. Whether my hooks are in or not, I just want to get the chest to back. How can I get you to turn? What can I do to make you go from chest to chest to back? What behaviors can I implement that make you want to behave in the way that I want you to behave? So I call that common goal cooperation. So you want to do it and I want you to do it. So now it gets done. So it's wonderful. So I started to approach the game from a more strategical, and I was pretty strategical before, but really from a big picture strategy. Then the question becomes, then what I started to realize is that there are ways to make people tired that don't make you tired. I used to make everybody tired by going super hard and going super fast and putting them through these patterns and transitioning and transitioning. And I would be slightly ahead in the transition, and then you would get tired because you're chasing it. That's too much energy. So I started to realize, like, I can behave a certain way that just makes you want to do what I want you to do. It's much easier. You just got to know what that behavior is. Then I started to realize, well, and I'll ask you guys, what is the number one body part that causes you the most amount of problems in a person's body? What body part causes you the most amount of irritation, discomfort, threat
From the bottom or the top?
from anywhere?
The irritation and stuff is hands. I'm always hand
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah,
The
always
hands.
hand fight. Yeah.
Correct. If your hands are to fight somebody's feet, who wins? The hands or the feet?
Depends on what you do with them, I guess. But
I
most
hit the steering wheel, so my
I
hands
don't
will always win against the feet.
The hands always
Yeah.
win the feet because they can grab. The
Yeah.
feet can't grab. They can give you problems, but they can't grab. The hands can give you problems and grab. So the hands are the biggest problem in grappling. That's the secret. So what I've done is I hyper focus on controlling people's hands from every position. Every position, there is a system to control people's hands. And then once you control people's hands, there's no danger. They can't do anything to you because you have their hands controlled. So I started to recognize, I've always kind of believed that. I've known that for many years, but I think that I've really kind of in this book dived into how to do it from each position. Every position has a strategy. Every position, you're looking, when you understand that the legs are geometry and you understand how to beat the geometry of the legs, there is no guard. So once there's no guard, once the guard is not able to be maintained and you're chest to chest, what's left? Side mount or mount. But you don't throw people into mount. Mount is their choice to take. It's not your choice to give, per se. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So mount, you can't really control if they mount you or not. If I don't want to mount you, I won't mount you. But side mount is the only other position from guard. From guard, you go to side mount. Now, what I figured out is there is a way to control people, to generate and control people from turning. What I mean turning is transitioning from belly up to belly down, from side mount to the turtle. There's a way to control that transition. And if I can control that transition and make you very, very tired, when you turn your back, it's way easier to trap your arm and attack your neck. Way easier because you're
Mhm.
tired. So there's a built-in fatigue mechanism into the master plan. So, like I said, every position has its strategy, has its strength, has its application, but each system is part of a bigger plan.
Makes sense. So I want to interject for a moment. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead, and then I'll say what I have to
No, I
say.
was just going to say it does. It makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wrestling basics too. You know, wrestlers
Yeah.
have done that forever and a day. Control the hands, control the fight.
Yeah. So here's something I think, Javi, you have a leg up on, and it's something that I see very much lacking, especially in the jiu-jitsu community. And I really hope that people use this book to enhance this. Your hip pressure is otherworldly. Because how much do you weigh on average?
55,
Okay.
160.
What I want to just explain to the audience is his hip pressure feels like a 250-pound guy. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because a lot of times what I see is guys go through the moves or they go, oh, that makes sense to me. I can do whatever, blah, blah, blah technique. Oh, yeah, I could just turn somebody over, this and that and the other thing. They don't know the level of hip pressure that you have. Your control and your hip pressure is stellar, right? So I really hope that people learn to hyper focus on this and use your book to their advantage to really get them to understand that everything that you do is a meticulous control. And I'm just saying that as somebody who's a fan, a student who has come to your classes, and it's always something I always love to learn. I always say I'm the perpetual student. Doesn't matter how many years I've been doing this. I don't care what belts I have. You always have to focus on being a student. And the other thing I want to say is if you guys are in Southern California at all, if you haven't made it to JV Jiu Jitsu, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to go, come to some classes, do some privates, whatever, because you have to. The best way, I think, number one, I'm going to recommend everybody needs to get this book. Okay. Like I said, I already ordered mine. You all need to order yours. But the other thing is you absolutely have to come and train a little bit so you can see and feel in person the master plan in action, if I may.
Yeah, I talk about that in the book, connection, disconnect. Connection is Hicks and Gracie talks about connection, but I spoke with them, several years later after the concept was kind of initially introduced to me. And I go, connection is not one thing. Connection essentially is information,
Mhm.
right? There is a tension, connection, there's a created tension between the two individuals. That tension that's created is information traveling between one and the other. They can read me and I can read them. It's just plugging into that tension. Connection has different kind of principles, right? There's the tension, there's the information, to where that information, I can tell what you're thinking. I can feel your breath through your body. I can tell by your pupils how you are processing my pressure, my tension. Connection is also the ability to hang on to something through absorption, through hovering. That's another form of connection, right? So there's different kinds of connection. Um, and because the second I touched you, I'm instantly understanding your thoughts and what you're feeling. I know what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So it goes far past the technical. It goes into the realm of energetic. So I can feel your energy. I know what you're thinking. I'm the one. I not only know what you're thinking, I am the one that's making you think it
It's,
based on
it's your
what I
coercion.
am pushing to you.
Yeah, it's very coercive. That's what I noticed about your system. It's very coercive. One of the things that I teach, it's very similar. What I call it is reaction mapping. So when we're working something offensively and we're trying to understand defense and reactions and stuff like that, we're always testing because we're always initiating with hand fights, but we're always testing to see how are they reacting at different positions and at different expressions, so that once we understand that they have a particular consistency, then we start to attack where they have the most trouble.
Yeah,
Right.
you're trying to generate a timeline. You're trying to lead a timeline. Um, I call it behavior generation. So behavior can be you coming down from your hand to your elbow. It could be going back up from the elbow to the hand. Your behavior generation can be getting your hand to place on the ground in a particular location so you're able to reach and grab it. As well as things such as like generating a turn, um, bringing people's hands up, bringing people's hands down. Like I make you react however I need. That's why I say I can go like this and your hand comes to me, your arm comes to me because I'm putting myself in a position that making you react and then I just wait for it to come rather than trying to chase it. I don't chase things. I just go like this and they just come to me. Much easier, right? So um what people don't realize is that I'm not reacting in the moment when that's happening. Now you're dealing with speed. Now you're dealing with you picking up the subtlety. Now we're no. I'm already waiting for the thing to come. I'm not sitting there trying to chase it. I know it's coming because I know what I'm making you feel, and I know what I'm making you feel is going to make you do certain things.
Mhm.
So I'm setting it up from way back then, and then waiting for it to come to me. So I'm generating the timeline in the future. I'm leading the timeline in the future. So I talk about that. I talk about generating timelines and it really is your behavior changes their behavior. I think a lot of people are constantly a lot of beginners in particular, they constantly feel like they're overwhelmed with options.
Mhm.
There aren't as many options as people think from, especially from particular positions. I think people are blinded by options that they don't see what's obviously in front of them. They're so worried about the little things that the big things are just kind of, they're just passing right by. Where are their hands? What configuration are we in? What position are we in? What positional perspective are we in? You know, so I think that all I'm doing is exposing the light on knowledge that I think has already been discovered, whether it's in other martial arts or whatever. I'm just kind of shining on light on what is obvious to me. And then my students see it now too. It's so obvious. And they're like, why aren't they doing this? Or why aren't they doing that? Or oh, they missed this or oh, they missed that. I'm all because they don't know. Their mind is processing too much information. It's like their reality when you're sparring is like this. Ours is just like calmer, slower, because um your brain is having to process all of this information very very quickly. I
Mhm.
know what's going to happen, so it allows my anxiety and my ability to stay calm and control my breath and control my energy and control my exertions and everything. I can plan that stuff ahead, so I don't have to really stress out about sprinting. I don't need to sprint. And then the other thing is like we're talking about options. There's only certain things that you could. There's only certain ways to do things, and that's it. And you can try to do them a bunch of other ways, but you lose the effectiveness of the move. I do things a certain ways because they work every time, 80%. Right? To me, when I say every time, it's like 80%. Then you can get to something that I call optimized finishing positions. Now you're at 95% success rate. You can get to those positions. All I've done is I've just ran the numbers. I know what battles are crucial. I know what's truly important. Um I know that the hands are the problem. I know what battles for you to get hand positioning and configuration dominance. I know which battles those are, and I'm just really good at preventing those things from happening and fighting from those bad positions. There's I call them red zones and green zones, right?
Mhm.
There's red zones and green zones. You try to fight away from the red zones and into the green zones. You don't want to be fighting in red zones because red zones not only are, you know, could be 20/80 issues where you're only winning 20% of the time, but you're in a position where again anxiety, pressure, fatigue. That's all. There's a reason why it's in a 20/80 position,
Yeah.
you know. But if you don't know what those positions are, I know what they are. That's why I try to cover that stuff. I know what the zones are.
So let me ask you this. So from what you've seen so far in terms of implementing the master plan with different individuals, who has the most challenging time in terms of learning to adapt to your hand fighting system?
People that grab the gi. People that are reliant on the gi for control. I kill their hands, they're completely lost. They don't know where they're going because the one thing that they can rely on is the grips. I kill what's grabbing the grips. And I say, okay, now what? And they're like, effectiveness. It's not effective. Why do I need to grab the sleeves when I can just control your hands?
It's interesting that you say that, because years ago I had taken a bunch of private lessons with Henry Akins. And I had asked him because, I had met Hickson one time in passing, but I never had the opportunity to train with him or anything. And um, fortunately for me, when I go do my privates with my coach, Chris Howder, since he trains with Hickson a lot, I always say, well, what did Hickson show you now? And then he
Mhm.
shows it to me. But when I asked Henry Akins, I go, what made Hickson different, especially when he was competing or training in the gi? What made him different? He's like, he never focused on the collar and the sleeve. He was always working head and arm control, hands, head. Interesting, huh?
I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
This is knowledge that has just been forgotten. I truly believe that. I really believe that when I was putting this together, I was definitely inspired, right? I was definitely being guided. JVOS was absolutely not my creation. JVOS was something that was just transmitted through me. It's just you got to look at the body and how it works and how it moves. And then you got to look at a basic strategy, and have to understand how to stop people from doing what they want to do from each position. Once you're going to stop people from doing what they want to do, there's certain body parts that are more important than others. So um, when you're focusing on the moves and the steps to the move, think of all the processing that you got to remember and categorize. And I just say, look at where the hands are, look at where my chest is. Okay, this is what's reasonable from here. I'm not saying I can't do something else, but why would I want to take that route? It's so treacherous, right? I always want the easiest route, low hanging fruit. I call it low hanging fruit, right? So, um, I was talking to you off air. I'm like, well, either this is going to be a massive breakthrough, or I'm going to be a complete quack. One of the two. There's no
No, I
middleman in this
dude,
book.
no, I think it's brilliant. And here's the thing. If I would say what you're up against, and I'm just saying, just because as a culture, as a grappling culture, this has become what I consider a fatal flaw, is the internet and YouTube and social media, BJJ fanatics, all that. Everybody's a move collector,
Correct.
right? And they're
That,
not
that they're,
focusing on
ta-
what's important, the
they're
concepts.
they're taking that to the max. The BJJ Fanatics is taking the move collection to the absolute max. Let's get as many moves from as many people as possible. Um, I'm more I have more of an Apple mindset. I have a smaller sandbox, but every tool in the sandbox is very, very good. I don't need it's functional. I don't need 50 million moves. I just don't. I like I said, I've ran the numbers on stuff. Most of my career is trying to find out what works and what doesn't, and why it works and why it doesn't. There's reasons why things work. It's not just, oh, this move works good. No, there's a reason. There's reasons why it's so successful. Um, I think I think that I can instantly see through the BS. I think I'm pretty good at instantly being able to read through the BS, and I'll look at my students will come in. Oh, I saw this on YouTube. I go, oh, yeah, go ahead, do that. And I just do this. I just do one thing, and they're like, I can't do it. I'm like, yeah, I know, because I know that there's no way you're going to get from A to B. If you can get to B, then it's over. Okay, great, but you're never going to get to B
Mhm.
because there's no way I'm going to ever allow that. So I think there's a lot of that, and
I think
think
people need to slow down, and they need to. I think this book, when they adopt the master plan, they're going to see that, in my opinion, this is a very deep meditation. It's a very deep meditation. because what they're going to have to do, and especially, see, I think it would be easier if I were to take this book and work with people that didn't have a lot of experience grappling, right? Then we can go page by page and build them up with the concepts and with this particular meditation to begin with. But when you start to have more advanced grapplers, purple, brown, black, there's a lot of them are so set in their ways and their egos are so out of control where they think they know everything, where reconditioning them, you're going to have to slow them down a lot to be like, here, let's create something more efficient.
Well, I think the biggest thing with that I've come across with dealing with that kind of individual is I just ask them, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Is it a highly successful move? Is it super efficient? Is it something that's super reliable? And usually the answer is probably no. Then why are we doing that? Why are we spending the time to, oh, because it's something new? I'm like, yeah, but if you actually knew how to do the certain things really well, you wouldn't even be thinking about having to come up with all of this other stuff. You can just every time like clockwork do the right thing at the right. What people don't understand is that I roll the way I roll. Gi no gi, punches no punches. So my body is trained. I can have a conversation with somebody off the mat and still be rolling the exact same way because my body already knows where we're going.
Mm,
It's already programmed to move and think and feel in a particular way. So I call that default behavior, right? I've trained your body to a point like if I get a heel hook, most people get their knee to the ground right away and start to turn. Why? Because that's like your default behavior that you know if you don't do that, then your heel is going to get cranked. If somebody grabs your hand, your default behavior is to pull. Now, that default behavior can be taken advantage of or it can be something that can save you, right?
mhm,
So your body naturally moves in certain ways. I think that the point system has developed a bunch of people that are doing things that don't make any sense
mhm,
strategically. So, for example, like if I take somebody down and then I got to pass their guard and then I mount them and then I take their back and then I trap their arm and then I choke them out, I've scored all of these points along the way. Maybe I tap you, maybe I don't, but I've scored all these points and I'm winning. But if I snap you down with the front headlock, I circle behind you to turtle, trap your arm, and now I'm in a better position to finish. And how many points did I score?
mhm,
0. So I'm not incentivized to take the more efficient and economical route to a finish. I'm more incentivized to go the long way, the less reliable way, the more conflicted way. My way is not good. I think my way is the easier way to do things rather than
yeah.
going through this song and dance. And I ask, well, why are we doing it this way and why are we not doing it that way? It doesn't make any sense. So then you start to like, why are we doing certain things? And for me, it always came down to what works. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about anything other than does it work or does it not work? It's binary for me. If it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't, it's out. I don't need to sit there and debate it and try to figure it out and try to. No, if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm done. If I find any flaw in it, I'm done. No need. Don't waste your time on that. You can take that energy and look to get better at what you're doing or perhaps come up with some other sort of solution. But I think that these guys are so programmed to move in certain ways. I was talking to my nephew today. He trains with me. I trained one time with a 10-time world champion, however many world championships this person won. And,
Mhm.
and I was like, I told my nephew, I'm like, I'm just putting my legs in the way. Just, and he's boom, passes my guard. Then I put him back in. Easy, right? And remember, I'm not even trying to stop him from passing. I'm just putting my legs in the way just to, if he overcommits to something, great, pass. I don't care. He
Yeah.
passes my guard again. I put him back in. 3, 4, 5, 6 times I do this. And then and then he ends up in my guard, I end up on top. Or he ends up passing, I end up sweeping him and getting on top. Now you're on top. You spent all that energy, got yourself nice and tired. Now I'm on top of you. So why were you going so hard? I wasn't even trying to keep you from passing that hard, but they're going hard. They go with me. They think that they got to go hard. I'm like, you don't have to go super hard. If you want side mount, take side mount. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and play a guard battle with you. I'd rather play a side mount battle
Mm,
or a mount battle with you. Let's get to the place where you think that you can get me, and let's see if you can get me.
mm.
Maybe you get me, maybe you don't. Probably, I'm hoping not. But and if you
Think so.
get me, get back in there again. It's all about the strategy. Some of these guys they'll win the first two. They'll beat me. They'll kill me the first 3 minutes. Do I even care if I'm losing the first 3 minutes, or am I just focusing on getting you tired? That's all I care about, because I'm going based off of energetics, not off of points. I'm going off of, am I working less than you, and am I making you work as hard as possible? And I know if we do that for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, I know who's going to be more tired at the end of that. And then that you are closer to being finished, the more tired you are.
I love that. Very insightful. That's a brilliant way to think. Because I understand what you're saying. You see that a lot, and one of the things that I've noticed, to your point, when you're talking about like these point systems and stuff like that, things have become very acrobatic. Jiu-jitsu's become very acrobatic. I look at it as like it's like a lot of capoeira style moves, right? And
It's explosiveness, right? It's
yeah,
explode and hold.
and then
Explode and hold.
I'm wondering, like, okay, well, what's the point of all that?
What's the point? That's what I'm saying.
Right?
What's
Like,
the
what's the
point? What
point?
are we trying to achieve here?
You know, if you're
I
counting
think the
points, okay, but
I think the vision has been, I think we've been going down the wrong road for a long time. I think that Hickson talks about that, right? And I didn't get it initially, but I definitely get it now. It's lost its effectiveness because people are more concerned with what wins in point tournaments than what actually works. And that's taken the art in a completely different direction.
so do you think, to that point, do you think it's just going to become divergent styles where you're going to have the people that are like these jiu-jitsu competition people, and that's just one completely
It's
separate
already
style
there.
from what
It's
you're doing?
already there.
Yeah. But how
It's
much
been there.
further do you think it's going to go? You don't think that there's a possibility that those point people, it'll kind of like come back and reroute themselves, or
Not
do you think
unless
that's
the
done?
incentive structure gets changed. If the
Mm,
point system gets changed, then everything shifts. It starts with the stupid point system.
mhm.
That's what's guiding the entire. That's what's guiding 85% of the jujitsu direction. So the second that you change what is incentivized, submission only. Let's do submission only. Let's do overtime. I like the EBI rule situation. I like that. I've competed no time limit. I've done whatever. I've done all of that stuff. The point system might be more athletic. You got to be in better shape, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best grappler. It means that you've harnessed your style in a way where you've optimized takedowns, so you're going to get your 2 points. You want to be on top, so you're not getting submitted, and you're not getting put in danger of losing points unless you get swept. And it's strong guard passing. And then if you end up on the bottom, don't let them pass. It's the same. It's the same. It's been the same for years. You can kind of sandbox a skill set, and you can have a very flawed individual be very successful, right? So if you change the incentive structures, um, it masks that quite a bit more. Because I did it. I was a wrestler. I was
Yeah.
competing as a blue belt, purple belt. Nobody could stop me from taking them down. I was up 2-0 every fight, every match.
Mhm.
So how do you stop that, right? But I had holes in my game. I had plenty of holes in my game. So, but I
What
hit
are
it.
your
You can hide it.
yeah, what are your thoughts on, given different rule sets, a pin and submit rule set, like how Josh Barnett has with his tournaments, the pin and submit rule set? What do you think about that?
What does he mean by pin and submit?
So, or I should say pin or submit. So, like with the catch wrestling rule sets, like the way he does with the ACWA, you can win by submission or by a 3 count pinfall.
Like putting them on their back?
Yeah. Pin them on the back, 3 count pin.
I mean, it'll make you want to get off your back.
Yeah.
So now you're just wrestling with submissions with no guard.
They can play guard. So you cannot. Now here's the thing that he made
Pin
it.
from where
It's
then?
clear.
Side mount?
Yeah, it has to be side mount, north south. I think even half guard. What he did was, which was very clever to not scare away the jiu-jitsu people, is you cannot be pinned within the closed guard. So you can play as much guard as you want. You just can't guard pull. So you have to start standing, which I love. There
Yeah.
has to be a takedown, which I love.
I like that.
And then once it's go time, once you're mat wrestling, anything's possible. So it doesn't matter. You can play spider guard, half guard, whatever you want.
I don't know. I don't know about the pinning situation.
You have to come watch it. Come watch it. Shoot. Check your phone. Oh no.
The other part's how much the pinning.
It looks like
What's
your
that?
phone disconnected. Is it back on? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
think it's
back
back
on.
Yeah,
on.
somebody was
Okay.
calling.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody's
Cut out for a second. I think you have to watch the matches. Maybe I can find some and send them to you
Mhm.
because I think you would find it very interesting. It's fun.
Look, I
It's-
think he got it spot on. It is. It's wrestling with submissions. That's what catch wrestling
What did
is.
you say? I'm sorry?
I said you got it spot on. You know, it is. It's wrestling with submissions. That's what
Yeah.
catch wrestling is. Yeah, it's submission wrestling, literally. And so, what defines it as wrestling is there's a pinfall. No pin,
You know, if
no
we're doing- if we're
pinfall.
do-
It's no
I
good.
don't like mixing of the two. If we're gonna do submissions, let's do submission. If we want to wrestle, let's wrestle.
Yeah, see, we look at it as it's not mixing the two. It was always that's how wrestling was.
Yeah.
It's not a mix.
Yeah.
See,
Putting it back together again.
Submission is
Putting it back together.
not separate to wrestling.
Listen, I hurt plenty of people when I was wrestling.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
I was a leg rider. So I was cranking people's arms and shoulders all the time. You know.
It's a fun thing.
But look,
I
I
like
think
putting that
definitely
pain on somebody.
definitely the two are very separate entities now. What we term submission grappling. What's catch wrestling? What's no-gi jiu-jitsu? I think a lot of people. Yeah, look, I don't know. I think the big thing is how to. Back to the thing, I think jiu-jitsu. I agree with you 100%. It's all about tournament and it's all about point systems. It's actually generating the way jiu-jitsu is taught.
Correct.
Right to the grassroots.
That's, and then people think that they're learning
Self-defense.
something that they're not.
Exactly. And it's become this almost across the board fallacy that if you can get 4 points in a jiu-jitsu tournament, you can win a street fight. And it doesn't work like that. You know,
No.
But the problem is because at that grassroots level, the culture of modern jiu-jitsu has changed to a sportive aspect. It's all about,
Correct. Yes.
even when they teach, do this because you get points. Do this because you get points.
Correct.
I've literally heard people saying it to beginners, do this and you'll get the
Yes.
points. It's like, don't worry about
Correct.
it. They're beginners. Do this and you won't get your head punched in.
Now, how about this one? You got to stop everything you do when you pass your guard. I mean, this is my mindset. If we're doing points, every time I pass your guard, I'm putting you on belly. That's easy. That's an easy way to score 2 points. I tell my guys, because we're training for a tournament, I go, okay, I'm never going to tell you this in real life, but every time you pass, just put the knee on the belly because that's 5 every time. 3 and 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 2. But that doesn't even make any sense, right? If you're not going to mount, why do you need to put the knee on and then I can take it off and I can put it back on, right? It doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we doing here? Why is that even a thing? Why is knee on belly points? Like, why is that a thing?
I don't know. To me, that's not even a position. It's transitional.
It's not even a position you can submit from.
It's transitional. I don't even consider knee on belly a position. I consider it a transitional point between two positions.
So you're telling me you're going to give 2 points for knee on belly and 2 points for a takedown? How are those equal?
Don't know.
You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't make any sense. So look, the way that we're sitting here dissecting why they're doing the point, that's why I say just ask why. You just got to ask, why are we doing this? I started to go through and I go, when you go through all of I call them positional perspectives, right? For example, striking offense, striking defense, takedown offense, takedown defense, turtle top, turtle bottom, side mount top, side mount bottom, guard top, guard bottom, side mount top, side mount bottom, mount top, mount bottom, leg lock offense, leg lock defense, arm lock offense, arm lock defense. When you take those positions, too much. So even that, now you got to go into what is the configuration beyond that perspective, and then what are the steps to the moves? What are the moves, and then what are the steps to the moves? So everything becomes so complex. So I started sitting there, and when I started grouping it, the original 12 books that I wrote, chapter 1 was takedown offense. And then I had chapter 17 and 18 as striking offense and striking defense. And when I was laying everything out, I go, okay, well, these are chest to back positions, and these are chest to chest positions. And then standing, but it doesn't make any sense. So I moved striking offense and defense to chapter 1 and 2, because that's where the fight starts. Then from chapters 1 and 2, what do? You get into a wrestling exchange, and then you take them down, and then where do you land? You can go to turtle, you can go to the back, or you can go to guard. Then from guard you go to side mount. Then from side mount you go to mount, and from mount you go to. I ordered the numbers of the chapters of the positions in that way, and then I started to realize, well, wait a minute. All these positions, there's only really 4 positions that we're dealing with: standing, chest to back, chest to chest, and supplemental positions, arm locks and leg locks. That's it. So when I started to process the information and the grappling and the positioning based more on facing direction, is he facing me or is he facing away from me?
Mm-hmm.
Are we chest to chest? Are we chest to back? Or are we in a supplemental position? Or are we standing? When I started to process the information from that perspective, I call it core ground positions in the book, everything got simpler. Now I don't have to be on the end. There's a picture that I wrote. I call it the simplification of the complexity. I'll send it to you, Brian.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you right now, and then you'll see that as things become more complicated, they become more like fuzzy. Do you know what I mean? I'll send it to you, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Right here. Boom, boom, share, JPEG, Brian. So what I've done is tried to simplify the way your brain processes the information. And what that does is it slows time in your mind. Frame rates. It's called frame rates in quantum physics, I think, or in psychology. I think it's called frame rates. I am able to process the information at a slower frame rate. Life is happening for me at a slower frame rate than it is happening for you. For you, it feels overwhelming. Like it feels like you're being bombarded. For me, I'm like, do. My brain doesn't have to work as hard to Did you get the picture? Yes. Do you see how on the right-hand side there, things just start becoming more and more smaller because they become more and more complicated?
Yeah.
So if you ignore the core positions on the left-hand side, if you ignore those positions, do you see the complexity on how you don't even know where to start?
Yeah, it's insane. That's where it becomes overwhelming for beginners.
But if you cover everything from on the right of core positions, you can survive on that.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, easily.
So
it's very similar to how I teach.
Send it to Adam. Send that picture to Adam too.
I was literally about to say it sounds very similar to the way that I teach here. I teach concepts. I'm not interested in teaching 42 million different techniques. Yeah, I will teach techniques.
And you can't have 50 steps either for a move.
Exactly. So for me, it's a mechanical concept. Yeah. Where's the pressure going? Where's the pressure not going? Where do I want to put it? Where do I want to take it? How do I want to isolate something? That's it. It's concepts. It's easier for people to grasp a concept than it is.
Of course. And then it's building the skill based on the concept.
Exactly.
that shortens the span. That is different than learning a bunch of steps where in the heat of the moment you got to go, whoa, how was that step? What was that step? But if you have the concept of, hey, you just got to keep his hand from coming to here, much easier than remembering all the steps to keep it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So why wasn't it being taught that way before? Marketing, because they have the secret sauce and you could only learn it from them.
Yep.
You could only learn from the secret sauce people. Never mind the basic concepts. Never mind these basic ideas. It's almost like they complicated it on purpose.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that maybe that's something that they just weren't even aware of?
Correct. Yeah, I don't think that they were aware of it.
Because here's the thing, to give you more credit, because you deserve all the credit in the world. So much of what you're doing is so wrestling heavy with your vision and with your understanding. It's wrestling heavy. It's conceptually, that's how you're looking at it. So adding in the wrestling concepts into a jiu-jitsu format, a lot of it, I just don't think that they ever learned it or knew what you're talking
They didn't
about.
know. They didn't know what they didn't know. People didn't know. And then what happens is this: you learn it from this guy, and then you and your buddies all learned it from this one guy, right? And then how are you going to pass the information on to your people?
The
The
same way.
same way you learned it from this guy, unless there's somebody in the middle that's changing everything, that's figuring it out. Because I teach like zero things the way I learned them for the most part. I have figured out easier ways to do the exact same thing. People do it this way, I do it this way because it's easier. Because people don't sit there and ask questions. They don't question the authority of what they're being taught. I tell people, test it, see if your way's better than mine. If your way's better than mine, we'll talk. But until that happens.
So as you've been uncovering all this and putting it into the master plan, have you become more favorable to certain positions? Like, do you have a favorite position?
Of course, some positions are more usable than others.
What would be your favorite? Where would you want to be? Like your ideal, if you can get somebody anywhere you want them, how do you want them configured?
Are they tired or are they not tired?
Well, tell me both ways.
If you are not tired, side mount. If you are not tired, guard top. If you are not tired or tired, turtle. If side mount is becoming difficult, which it's not, once you understand how side mount functions, I call side mount the central hub. Side mount is Dallas Fort Worth. It connects everywhere. From side mount, you can go to the turtle. From side mount, you can go to the back. From side mount, you can go to the mount. From side mount, you can go to leg lock. From side mount, you can go to the back to the guard. From side mount, you can get anywhere. Side mount is the connecting airport that connects flights everywhere. So that is one of the most important positions in the system, is side mount. One of the most underutilized and highly valuable positions is turtle. I destroy people from turtle. Absolutely exhaust them or tap them from turtle. Turtle is vastly underutilized.
So says the leg rider. We know why.
What's that?
I said, so says the leg rider. We know why. I agree with you. My whole thing, and your hip pressure, like I said, your hip rides are just mind blowing. For me, my favorite's always, like, I train everybody to get everybody down parterre. I love belly down. If I can get anybody belly down, I can keep them belly down. I don't ever have an issue keeping.
Hard, yeah. I can make their life hard.
I can keep people belly down because I don't just. So here's what I do, and I used to do belly down when I was riding them on that parterre a particular way. And it was actually after one training session with you, feeling your hip pressure from the turtle, where I was like, why am I not using that hip pressure in the parterre? So now I go heavy hip pressure in my parterre and I split their legs because I'm crab riding them at their knees and I split the legs on one side. And I can do it against 260-pound guys and they're not getting up.
If you control two things in a person's, if you control two things, people are screwed. Their hands and their ability to turn. If you control those two things, people are toast. They're stuck. When you understand that the bottom leg is what starts the guard, there is no guard. Once you understand that bottom leg is their guard, there is no getting out of side mount if you don't use that bottom knee. So I just focus on the bottom knee. It's easy. All of a sudden, there's no guard. The second you take away the jiu-jitsu person's guard, they panic.
Yeah.
Once they can't get you in their guard, they're toast. Because they're not comfortable in side mount. Nobody wants to be side mounted. They fight to get out of side mount tooth and nail.
Yeah, it's true. So let me ask you this. I've been meaning to ask you, what was your epiphany in terms of leading to your handcuff system? Because I think it's very genius. And you'd use it, especially from the bottom guard, you use it in such a unique way that I don't see anybody on the planet doing what you're doing.
Optimizing hand control. That's the secret.
So what was that epiphany like? Because you literally grab that handcuff from everywhere and you go handcuff into hammerlocks, handcuff into this, handcuff into that. I mean, it's just incredible.
You mean when I'm trapping the arm behind the back, or just the handcuff?
Yeah. Just the handcuff itself to the traps.
I don't know. I just went on one, dude. I remember I was telling my guys, I was telling Nick when he was here all the time. I'm like, I got another one. I got two more. And then I just started to reverse engineer it. And I'm like, oh my God, you could hit it from here. You could hit it from here. Within like 2 weeks, I had like whatever it was, like 12 or 14 entries or whatever. It was like crazy. It was crazy. What it comes down to, a couple things. Trapping the arm behind the back comes down to a couple things. One, optimizing hand control. How are you holding their hands to prevent them from being able to pull, right? Secondly is something I call the magical place. The magical place is right here, where my hip and hand are. If my hand is here, I'm cool. If my hand is here, I'm gone. It's gone because there's nothing stopping it from going that way. So all I'm doing is clearing the fingers from the front of the hip to the back of the hip, and then it's gone. So when I figured out the magical place, that had a lot to do with it, because then it was like, I can do the magical place from anywhere. It's just every angle, there's a way to get to the magical place, right? You're just changing perspective, but the place is the same. Your configuration system is the same. So that means your reach is the same. That means the mechanics are the same. Doesn't matter if I'm on top or on bottom, the mechanics are the same. So, like I said, I look at this through the world of basic mechanics. So once you see basic mechanics, you can't unsee them.
That's true. And
that's what basic mechanics is, what helps you see through the matrix. That was a big breakthrough. Basic mechanics was a big breakthrough.
Yeah. I really hope, like, I loved when you did the configurations seminar. That was super fun and eye-opening. And I'm going to keep harassing you about doing more seminars because they're really cool in the way you break them down. It's like, I don't want to leave, 2-3 hours later. I'm like, no, I'd be here all night if we could. Because it's great, man. The information is
the other thing I realized,
fantastic.
I'll show you right now, 46. The other thing I realized is, no matter how much information I give you, there is a threshold. There is I call it a positional threshold. And it looks like this, right? This is what I call a positional perspective. As you The longer time you spend in a position, the more awareness you will achieve. The longer you are, the more information, the bigger the circle of information and knowledge, awareness you gain. See that?
Mm-hmm.
But every position has a threshold. After a while, there's no more new information. You have adapted all of the known awarenesses and information within that positional perspective. So now your nervous system can calm down because you are no longer worried about something new. As a matter of fact, you are inviting something new so you can potentially see a new opportunity. What can you do? Because I've got all the information, and no matter where you go, I know exactly where I'm going next. Either I will or will not be able to achieve it, but I know that the information is this is what we got from this particular position. So even in the book, I try to do a lot of artwork that I hope will resonate with people, which helps them see the way I see,
Mm.
So it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Like you're in cyber, there's not a million options. It's a very small amount of options, and there's not much more than that. And if you do A, B, and C, it keeps you away from these options. And there's still some danger, but it's a lot less. So it allows your nervous system to calm down. It allows you to be from a more present place. It's a more economical place because your energy is not spiking emotionally. You're not tense. You're not. So the way you think, I call it the efficiency of the mind. The way you think affects your conditioning directly. You can be completely panicked and gassing yourself out for no reason, or you can be under tremendous pressure, under tremendous danger, and be calm and cool and not be tired. I get into that in the book as well, the efficiency of the mind. So
Yeah.
it's fine tuning, it's polishing, it's really looking at jujitsu from a very different lens. I definitely think you know, when I just started talking the way, the things I mentioned in the book, I just started talking that way, and then the students start to really get it. And once they get it, you can't unget it. And that's what's been such a wild kind of ride as an instructor to see the reaction of the students. And the biggest surprise is that once I've trained your mind to a certain point, you um it becomes a self-correcting system. You start solving your own problems. You understand how to logically think and solve your own problems. You don't longer need me hovering over you, babysitting you, telling you the answers to the problem. You look at the problem, you analyze the problem, you go, well, his hand is here. I know his hand is better there. I move his hand from here to there. They're able to kind of process the information in this way, that was the biggest surprise that they were actually able to. It's an auto-correcting system. Once you get to a certain point, you're around it enough and you get the lingo enough and you're kind of doing the things that I'm showing you enough, something clicks and it becomes ingrained in your circuitry, in your mind. And I basically have reprogrammed your thinking and feeling ability um, to be more um, efficient,
Yeah. And I think also self-sufficient because it's like
self-sufficient. Yes.
it starts to create a self-coaching plan, right? Where people, like you were saying, where you're not hovering over them as much, where they're almost self-coaching, where they're so ingrained in the system, the master plan system, where they're able to kind of walk through it. And like you're saying, they're not panicking. There's an assessment, and then they can self-coach and go, oh, okay, I just need to do this. Now do this. Now, from your perspective, what is the timeline that you have found in terms of people building efficiency through the master plan?
Okay, so the way I'm actually filming right now a course called Master Plan Basics. There's a couple other basics courses that I have online, but Master Plan Basics is kind of like lays down the groundwork, the foundational groundwork for instructors.
Mm.
So I'll be having within the next year or so, I'll be doing an instructor training sometime within the next 12 months. I think I'm going to do like an instructor training seminar.
Sign me up.
Um,
I'll be
And
there.
it'll probably be like 3 days. It'll be, highly intensive, and we're going to go through all of the positions, all the basic positions, and kind of get the lingo and go through the central path in each perspective, and kind of bullet point. It's in the book as well. The golden rules, basically go through the golden rules and in each position, and learn how to teach it. The way I teach here is that it takes us it takes us about 4 months. Excuse me. Yes, about 4 months, 3 times a year to get through one positional cycle.
Mhm.
So by the second cycle, it starts to really click. So within 8 months, it really clicks with people. After the first cycle, everything is all new information. So every position, you're learning a new central path. Every position, everything is new. It's similar because there's universal truths, and there's focus on the hand control and the controlling the turn and these sorts of things. Those are kind of constants, but the strategy within each position is kind of a new strategy within each position. And after about 8 months, there's a significant jump. At 12 to 18 months, you start seeing substantial improvement. By 2 years, the guy is tough to tap. By 2 years, like, you're gonna have he's very aware, and now it's just a matter of building um, positional perspective within each position, just letting time take its course, and so they can learn from each configuration, and let them experience what I've kind of talked to. And then once they start to realize that the things that I say actually are the way that things are, they start gaining confidence, and then it boosts their skill. So I think once they start to have the self-belief that the system works, because they're seeing live feedback that it's working, and things are happening that they're doing, then things are happening, and they're realizing that when they do things happen, and now they're starting to go like, hey, I'm going to do it, and they'll wait for it to happen. Once that confidence builds, um, they gain they gain a lot of skill, because the confidence that comes along with doing things, knowing what's going to happen, not just thinking it's going to happen, but knowing it's going to happen, builds a confidence, and it builds a skill faster. So there's these little like speed bumps that you go through. I'd say it's within, 4 to 6 months, then another one, 12 to 16 to 18 months, and then roughly around 24 months. I'd say that's kind of the way that the first 2 years go. But by the 2 year mark, they're pretty freaking good. They're good defensively. They're very aware. They got good hand control. They're tough to tap from every position. They understand leg locks. They understand how to defend the back. They understand how to pass guard really well. They understand how to drop weight. They understand how to generate the turn and make people tired and be heavy on top. You roll with my white belt. It's like, why are you so heavy as a white belt, bro? Like, how is it that you're so freaking heavy as a white belt? Because of because of the way I teach it, and something I call constant core tension, and crushing pressure, like, you get used to it because that's all we deal with here. That's all. Everybody that gets on top of you weighs 10 tons. So for me, it's like, how do I endure um, this level of weight? So then I started to realize, like, I just don't want to be on the bottom. You just start
Yeah.
realizing, like, bottom is a lot worse than top. When you got people that are like this, that are crushing you like that, you start to realize, like, why do I want to be on bottom? Then that's when that whole thing for the guard started. Like, I got to get on top. I got to figure out how to get on top. What can I do to get them up? That's what started that whole process, is me being underneath these guys after several years, and feeling like, bro, this is not easy to be under here. Right.
Mhm.
So, the system defeats itself. The perspective from the top defeats the perspective from the bottom. The perspective from the bottom can beat the perspective from the top. I am fighting outside. I'm fighting within my own sandbox. I'm fighting against myself. I'm fighting against me. So the way I attack from the top is the way I'm learning how to defend from the bottom, because it's such a good way to attack. I have to come up with a good way to defend. And that in and of itself creates an iron sharpens iron situation, and people get better at it. And when you throw other things at it, they just start to, they just block all that stuff off. No problem.
Let me ask you a question. Um, with regards to back defense and escapes, right? So back attack, like if somebody's on your back, you're seated, the standard 2 hooks in, seatbelt control, whatever. What is your preferred methodology for defending and escaping back off?
Controlling the top arm. Controlling the top arms. Then you ask yourself, well, how do I control the top arm the most effectively? And then what happens if you get the arm away? What happens if they get the arm away? How do you regain control of the arm? That's how I'm thinking. Because without that top arm, you can't do anything. Even if I hold that top arm and you shoot the choke with the other hand, if I still have that top arm, you still ain't getting it.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding what the real threat is, what the real problem is, optimizing the control on that threat, and slowly peeling your back away from their chest, essentially getting your back to the ground or turning on top. There's ways to turn on top of them that I show.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
I think
let me ask you this. This is a nuanced question, add on to what you just said. So somebody's doing, like, say, Marcelo Garcia style seatbelt where they're covering the choking hand. Is it your preference that you're going to, when you're saying get that top arm, that hand literally that's covering the choking hand, you're going to attack that one first if it's under the armpit? Or are you going to focus the one that's over the shoulder?
controlling the arm that's over the shoulder.
Over the shoulder. Okay.
That bottom arm doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
And then the question is, show me how you grab that top arm. How do you grab that arm?
Me personally, what I'm always doing is I'm always looking for thumb control. So I'm coming underneath, I'm peeling the thumb, and I'm twisting out. Very
So
much
show me how
Hapkido
you
style.
show me how you grab the arm.
So I'm coming underneath. So I'm going as close to the wrist as possible, both sides.
So you're directly attacking at the hand.
I'm always going under the hand. So I'm grabbing the thumb, peeling it out, and I'm twisting it. So I want to rotate their elbow so I can get, if I can, get the elbow to the sky. I'm always looking for elbow to the sky.
Yeah, but you have to unlock his hands, right? They unlock themselves?
Because I'm coming underneath.
They just release?
I'm coming underneath and I'm twisting it out. I'm literally creating a wrist lock.
So pain
Always.
compliance.
Catch Wrestling 101.
Okay, so what if there's a way to do it where you don't have to do pain and they just let go on their own?
I would love that. That's why I'm asking, because I'm always looking to see better ways to what I'm doing.
If this arm is here, I do this. What are you going to do?
Okay, wait.
I'm covering the hand and covering the elbow. Go. What are you going to do? First thing you're going to do is what? Let go of your hands, right? Don't move it. Now what? Now my back's on the ground. I'm out.
Interesting.
I don't try to peel the hands. I just control the arm. If you control the arm well enough, they unlock their own hands.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody forces it. What if you want to do it and I want you to do it? What can I do to make you feel like that's the right thing to do?
A good psychological play there.
It's more economical. So
interesting.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And like, what if we change what we're doing? Why do we have to behave in particular ways? Why, like, people from side mount? I rolled with somebody and I was on top. Somebody I hadn't rolled with. And usually what people do is they're very tight, they're holding you, they're dropping their weight. And I was like, had all sorts of space between us, but they couldn't put me in the guard. They're like, what are you doing? How is this possible? Because it's not the norm, because people expect you to do a certain thing. I stop what's happening without having to do that thing that everybody knows to do. I just do it a different way. I achieve the same goal. Actually, I achieve different goals because I'm also making you tired. you don't feel constrained in a sense because I'm not crushing you this way, but you feel I'm doing something that makes you feel like you can't get me back in the guard. So you are feeling constrained. You start feeling frustrated because you just don't understand what is happening because the approach is different. So that's what I've realized is that I think everybody's been so programmed to do certain things, but nobody's really asking why are we doing those certain things. And I've started asking when as things started going, I started asking more and more questions, and I started coming up with some different solutions to to very old problems. Um, and some of these solutions worked a lot better than the way we were doing it before. So I changed to adapt.
Maximizing efficiency.
There are universal truths. What I'm talking about is never going to change. I'm very confident that what I'm saying is never going to change. What makes the difference between a technical perfection and a high level competitor is the pacing. It's not the technical differences in what I'm doing. I think technically I'm as efficient as I can be. I think the problem is tempo because competitors are running off of a different tempo. And if you can maintain your tempo and do the same thing that we're doing just in a slightly quicker tempo, they're still going to get more tired than you. You just got to have confidence and be able to maintain the tempo. So I don't work hard, but if somebody's really, really good, they might make me work harder than when I want to work, but I'm still doing the same thing. But I know if I'm working harder, they're working way harder than they're used to because of my behavior. The question becomes at my age, at my fitness level, against this world champion, can I can I maintain my conditioning enough to deal with their tempo, not the technical differences in what I'm doing. Those are efficient. That is my technical choices are what's allowing them to get tired and me not get tired. But just because I'm human, just because they're fast and explosive and aggressive, I can still get tired. I still got to deal with the tempo.
Mm.
But if I can deal with the tempo, I can do what I do in slow motion or I can do it in fast motion. I'm not changing what I'm doing. It's the rate of decision making. The decision making is quicker. Whereas
Mm.
my decision making when I'm just cruising is like this. When you're dealing with somebody that's quicker, it's like this. So can you maintain this decision making? What I mean by decision making is they grab your wrist. How long does it take you to counter them grabbing your wrist? Whether you grab their wrist, whether you clear it, whether you drag it, whatever option you have to counter whatever they're doing. Number one, is it the right counter? Are you doing the most economical, the best choice? Is it strategically the right counter? Are you making that right choice? And then uh, are you able to do it in the proper tempo? That's the difference that I've recognized because I roll with a lot of people, and I get the same result. But the guys that are, the higher level competitors or MMA fighters or whatever, they're just they're just running at a different tempo. But I do the exact same thing and it works the exact same way. I might be a little bit more tired because the tempo is slightly different, but it still works the same. That's that's been a huge breakthrough. That I don't change what I'm doing very much. I just don't need to. I understand what the crucial battles are. The crucial battles are universal truths. They don't change. They don't change. That all I'm highlighting, putting the spotlight on is what is true and what is not true. What is real, what is not real.
Hmm. I love that. Now show us a picture of the book. Hold it up so we can see.
This is
So we can put it out there.
it doesn't have this little line right here, but this is
Yeah.
like a pre-copy. This is like the first one. So I'm very proud. It's taken me a long time to figure this stuff out. I've really spent a lot of time. Hedon wrote the forward for me. So he thinks I'm a scientist, I just sit there and just analyze. I go, no, yeah, oh, that's good. I just ran the numbers. I've just been able to process the information maybe a little bit quicker. I've spent a little bit more time um, in positional perspective, just kind of absorbing and learning and seeing and studying behavior and movement and options and configurations and geometry. Geometry is the best. The geometry is the best.
I hated geometry in high school, but let me tell you, from what you're saying, yeah, absolutely. You have to understand geometry to maximize your efficiency with this kind of stuff. So how do we buy the book? Like I said, I already bought mine. I did my pre-order, like I said, you can get it with the signed copy. I'm driving up there to go get mine personally changed because I don't want just the standard signature. But that's me. I'm a princess, so I have to have things done a particular way. So how do we get the book? Tell everybody
The
how we
book
buy the book.
the book is online right now for pre-sale at victorypublishing.com. I can give you guys the website. Give me 1 second here. Victory Publishing. Did I send you the link? I didn't send you the link yet, right?
You didn't send me the link.
I will
I
send it
saw
to
it somewhere,
you. It was
and
on
then
my
I ordered
story.
it.
I've been posting it on my
Yeah, it
story.
was on the story, so that's how I got it, on
Yeah,
the
so
story. But
I'm gonna send you the link right now.
I wanna make sure this gets in the hands of as many people as possible because I already know this is gonna be a game changer for everyone who picks it up, and they'd be
Did you send
fools
Adam
not
that
to buy it.
picture?
I did.
What do you think
He'll
about
look
that picture?
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's true. Very true. Yeah. The more in depth you go into something, the more shit there is to wade through.
Yeah, but if you start on that other side, you don't know where you're going. And that's what happens. They put you in that other side and go, here's this move, here's this move, here's
Yeah, yeah.
this. If we
Totally the wrong way.
started from the left and say, okay, these are the positions that, so if you look at those 4 positions, standing, chest to chest, chest to back, and supplemental. Standing, okay, let's just take away standing just for now. That leaves us only 3. Supplemental, let's cover that later. So what does that leave you?
Chest to
Chest to
chest, chest to
chest and
back.
chest to back. So don't, and you were talking about what positions are more important. Yada, yada, yada. Chest to back is one position, in my opinion. It's broken up into 2. It's broken up into actually 4, offensive and defensively. But there's really 2 positions for chest to back: turtle and back mount, and then offense and defense, right? And then chest to chest is guard, side mount, and mount. Chest to chest is the one that has the most complication. Guard is the most complicated chapter. Mount is pretty easy. Side mount is pretty easy. Side mount, I would say, is probably the second most complex chapter because of the connectivity to everything else. But the system itself from side mount is actually pretty easy. And guard is the most complex because you got it has the most amount of options. For a guy on the bottom, it gives him the most amount of opportunities to create different kinds of scenarios because they have both hands and both arms facing you, which from a biomechanical perspective gives them the best option. Once you bypass the legs and now you're chest to chest only, now their options on the bottom are far limited. They can turn into you, they can turn away from you. That's it. What else you got? So I look at it from that perspective. There's not much you can do when we get to certain places.
Yeah, makes
We're
sense.
chest to chest and we're in side mount. And then I break up side mount and mount into quarter side mount and quarter mount, to be more specific with the positions. So it gives you a starting point, a more consistent and valid starting point.
Yeah,
So
it's cool.
that I haven't seen anybody do that. Like there's guard, and then some people break it up into half guard and quarter guard and yada yada yada. But like side mount, everyone says side mount. I go, no, there's quarter side mount, there's side mount when they're flat, there's quarter side mount front when they're facing you, there's quarter side mount rear when they're facing away from you.
Yep.
It's
So it's
great.
just structural. Yeah, it's just
Very
structural.
insightful. Yeah. So Victory Publishing, guys. So victorypublishing.com is where you're going to buy the book, The Master Plan. I highly encourage you all to pre-order now. So that for the hardcovers, that first round is only limited to 100. So we've got 99 more to go because I already got mine. I was first on the trigger. Suck it, losers. So go get yours.
They're going. So I think we're going to sell out of these.
Absolutely. This is a must-have. So I cannot highly recommend it enough. this book is a must-have. And I highly encourage you all to go to JV Jiu-Jitsu online. If you are not local to Southern California, you absolutely must go to JV Jiu-Jitsu online and enhance your grappling. Stop with all the move collecting. You need to get this done right. Do it the right way and learn from somebody who has distilled this all down to get your game efficient. And if you are in Southern California, be smart. Go visit Javi. Go out to Rancho Cucamonga. Why Rancho Cucamonga? I don't know. That's another discussion altogether. But it's actually a beautiful area. It's right up there by the hills. It's gorgeous. I know why he's there. It's because of all his bike rides that he does.
Correct.
So he wants to ride in nice areas. If you want to see him, you can go ride your bicycle up into that area and come and train and then go on a nice bike ride because it is a beautiful area. But you must, if you're in Southern California, you must go visit. So I highly encourage you guys to do that. I also highly encourage you guys to visit our sponsors, right? And we have new sponsors coming on. I'll be announcing that in a couple of weeks. But you already know SpartanCans.com. Go there. Discount code is LUG for Level Up Grappling. And also Road Gears with a Z, ROADGEARZ.com for your motorcycle apparel. Hit them up and get that same discount code. I'm trying to make sure all the discount codes are the same so you guys can get stuff at a discounted price and you don't have to ask me, well, how do I get the discount code? Just put in LUG and it's simple, okay? And that is fantastic. And I can't wait to come up there and see you again soon. And I will be bringing my book to have it signed properly. The release date is when? When are they actually doing the...
April 27th, which is my 50th birthday.
Oh my God, right around the corner, guys. So let's go have a party for Javier. So when the book is released, as soon as I get mine, we'll all have a birthday party. And we'll go
have
up
a
there.
Show here. You could do a show here.
Dude, that would be awesome. Absolutely. I would totally do a show there. That'd be so cool. I would totally do that. And your in-house tournament, you got an in-house tournament coming up too, right? When's that?
Yeah. April 25th. It's a tournament just for beginners. So I'm doing kind of fun rules for it. I want to do 2 divisions, white belt and blue belt. They're going to be, I guess you can say it's a quintet style tournament with EBI rules. So 5-man teams, 850-pound limit. So you can mix and match your guys. And then you got to win 3 of 5 matches to advance to the next round. And then the sudden death, I added a position for sudden death. So normally sudden death for EBI rules, it's the back mount or the arm lock. What I'm adding is the triangle setup where you're in the triangle with one arm in and one arm out. So I'm going to start. I'm going to do that position as well to possibly spice things up in the overtime sessions. But,
that sounds like fun.
And then we're doing a kids tournament at 9 a.m. So that's at 12 p.m. So then at 9 a.m. we're going to do a kids tournament just for beginners, kids from the ages of 5 to 9, just little kids that want to compete and not, get freaked out by doing it at some big event. Just do a small in-house tournament, get my kids some matches as well. And yeah, so my birthday weekend is going to be a little bit busy.
Action-packed. I love it. Well, I can't wait for this book release. Like I said, as soon as I saw that it was available for purchase, I got mine. That's a no-brainer for me. All of your material to me is a no-brainer. And you're probably the only person that I constantly endorse because as far as I'm concerned, you're the one with the game changer material. And you've been the only person consistent in pushing grappling forward, as far as I'm concerned. You're not hanging on to stuff that people were doing 30 years ago. And it's not, oh, you have to do it like this to maximize your points for a tournament. So I highly value your wisdom and your insights and your skill set. And without you, it's a sinking ship. And with you, it's like there's a new light at the end of the tunnel. That's how I look at it, man.
When I started writing this and I'm like, this is going to change jiu-jitsu. I really believe that it's going to change it. It's going to definitely have an impact.
Absolutely.
I see some people that are high level guys are starting to do some of the things that I do, but they're still a little bit. They'll figure it out. There's smart guys out there, but I can tell that it's very infant in their, or very very early on in their development, because I went through the same development.
It's one of those things where when it gets in the hands of the right young guys,
Mhm.
it's going to totally change the game for a lot of people. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I can't wait to watch that. Us old guys can sit back and smile and go, yeah, there it is. So I can't wait to see that. But it's been an absolute pleasure as always. And you guys, I insist that you go get this book. It's going to change your life. All right. And with that, we are out of here. Boom.